So what if I told you everything you thought about money is completely wrong? Welcome back to Success with Steven. My name is Steven Smith. On this channel, we discuss all things financial literacy. And today I'm going to show you how money really works and how understanding this system could change your life forever. So stick with me. I'm going to teach you something most people will never learn, and I'm going to try to do this in about 10 minutes. Now, before we dive in, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notification bell, and if you're ready to take control of your financial future, then let's get right into the video. Now, before we discuss what is money, this came about from a conversation that I had in My Success University. Shout out to Ingrid. She has won My Success University 2 weeks in a row. That means that she has won $400 in the past 14 days. So congratulations to you. But we had a conversation and we talked about a lot of things that we never get to discuss on YouTube. And not because we really can't talk about the information. It's just this information is not widespread enough that it warrants a keyword or search term that someone can find it on YouTube. However, we're having these conversations on almost a daily basis on My Success University. So if you really like this content, join the group so you can get more information like this. Now, let me get back to the video. I'll try to get this done in 10 minutes. Everyone thinks that they know what money is. They think money is a green piece of paper in their wallet, right? But that's not actually what money is. That's currency, or fiat currency rather, a medium of exchange, not a store value. As you guys know, I source information according to law, and I like to use the Cornell Law School because it makes legal terms very easy to understand. Everything we're going to talk about today, there's a link in the description. Now, according to Article 1, Section 10 of the U.S. Constitution, no state is allowed to make anything but gold and silver coin a legal tender in payment of debts. So if our Constitution defines money as gold and silver, what are we carrying around in our pockets? Now, to dig a little bit deeper, you want to take a look at Black's Law Dictionary. And I'm talking about the early first edition of Black Law's Dictionary. You'll probably only find this in a book. In its traditional definition, money means gold, silver, or paper used as a circulating medium of exchange. However, it also makes one key distinction. This definition specifically excludes bonds, notes, debts, or even real estate. So if something like $1, which we call a Federal Reserve note, is technically a note and not gold or silver, then it isn't money by legal definition. It's what's called a negotiable instrument. If you guys have $1 right now or any money, take a look at that dollar bill. If it's a 20 or 50, look right at it. And at the very top, you're going to see something that says Federal Reserve Note, not gold, not silver, not money. It's going to say it's a note. A note is a promise to pay. So what you really have is a financial instrument. It's a form of debt being passed around as a currency. And didn't our definition of money clearly state that it does not include notes? Now, to explain this system, we have to understand something called the Uniform Commercial Code, or the UCC for short. Specifically, UCC Article 3, which deals with negotiable instruments. Again, link is in the description. Now, what is a negotiable instrument? Under UCC Article 3, Section 104, there are only two things that qualify as negotiable instruments. The first is an unconditional promise to pay, and the second is an unconditional order to pay. So what does this actually mean? It means anything like a promissory note or a bill of exchange can legally be used as a transferable financial instrument. Your dollar represents a promise that you're going to pay, and bills of exchange are orders to pay. When you sign something, you're essentially creating value that can be passed around or exchanged. Now let's bring this down to a real world example. You've seen a bill from your electric company, a utility bill, a cable bill, an internet bill, whatever that may be. That's not just an invoice. That's what you would call an order to pay. You know what bill is short for? Bill is short for bill of exchange. What is a bill of exchange? It's a negotiable instrument. What is a Federal Reserve note? It's also a negotiable instrument. And when you get a mortgage or you get a car loan, what are you doing? You're signing a promissory note. Now, here's where things get wild. According to UCC Article 3, Section 102, negotiable instruments are governed by commercial law, not monetary law. It clearly states that the article applies only to negotiable instruments and not to money. That means even the law itself doesn't treat notes as actual money. Now let's talk about how banks actually use this in a system. Now you might think that banks lend you money from their vaults or from other people's deposits, but it actually works a little bit differently. Now, according to Title 12 of the U.S. Code Section 8.3, national banks are actually prohibited from lending out their own capital stock. Again, link is in the description. You guys can read this. So where does the money actually come from? Under the Federal Reserve Act, specifically Section 16 and 12 USC, subsection 412, the system is laid out in plain language. A bank applies for Federal Reserve notes by submitting collateral, usually in the form of notes, drafts, or bills of exchange. And here's where things get even crazier. That collateral is the loan document you just signed. Your signature is the asset. The moment you sign that promissory note, and that's called endorsing. When you sign or you endorse a mortgage document or anything like that, the bank will use that as collateral to request funds from the Federal Reserve. In simple terms, they take your promise to pay, they send it to the Fed, and they receive new notes, AKA your dollar, in return. Then they turn around and loan that money back to you with interest. So there's a lot of power in your signature, and people don't really understand what that actually means. When you sign a loan document, your signature becomes a financial tool. Legally, this act is called endorsement under UCC. The term endorsement and signature are essentially interchangeable when referring to financial instruments. And you guys may see endorsement spelled just like this, INDORSEMENT, not with an E. Most people unknowingly perform a blank endorsement when they sign these documents. That means you're handing over the value of that instrument without specifying who it's actually for. In other words, you're giving the bank a blank check and they're free to cash it in whenever they would like. They perform what's called a special endorsement. And this is when they write "paid to the order of" the bank's name without recourse, and they sign it. That allows them to claim the financial instrument you unknowingly created and use it to request real currency from the Federal Reserve without recourse. Now, what does that mean? Because I'm sure a lot of you are like, what is without recourse? The phrase without recourse is a legal term that means the original signer of the instrument, i.e. you, is not responsible for the note if it's later dishonored. It removes liability from the bank when they transfer it to another party. But in practice, it also means the bank is disclaiming all risk and taking all value from your note. They do this by treating your signature as like a donation. You're handing over your financial asset without claiming anything in return. That's why the signature is the most powerful part of the process and why most people never realize what they're actually giving away. And here's where it gets very interesting. You can write your own endorsement on negotiable instruments. So for example, on a promissory note or bill, you could write "without recourse, pay to the order of" your name in all caps, then sign and date it beneath. By doing this, you're specifying where the value is supposed to go. You're not abandoning the instrument. You're directing where it should go. And when you do that, you're asserting your claim over the funds generated by your own signature, meaning you can do this on your bill of exchange or your promissory notes. You can write "without recourse, paid to the order of," and again, your name in all caps, and sign there. And by doing that, you're going, "Hey bank, I'm giving you this instrument, but I'm not donating it to you." You're allowed to go back to the Federal Reserve window, bring back those funds, and then zero out the whole account. And you can give them the interest as payment to initiate this swap for you. So what does this all actually mean? That doesn't mean that banks are going to cooperate with you immediately. You may have to litigate to get this done, but this method brings transparency to the system that most people don't even know exists. So why does this actually matter? Most people live their entire lives thinking that they're at the mercy of banks, credit institutions, and government policies. But the truth is, your signature has real value, and it creates negotiable instruments that form the basis of our modern money system. And understanding this gives you power to question what you're really agreeing to when you borrow, sign, or transact. Banks don't give you money. They use your signed document as a negotiable instrument. They send it to the Federal Reserve. They get money printed on your behalf and then charge you interest for accessing it. It's a game of paperwork and leverage, and unless you understand it, you're always going to be on the losing side. So I'm sure a lot of you are asking, well, that's great, but what can I do with this knowledge? This isn't about breaking the law. It's about understanding it and using it to protect your financial rights. The UCC exists so that transactions can be lawful and they can be orderly. If you're aware of how negotiable instruments work and how endorsements operate and how banks monetize your signature, you can begin to claim some financial power. Some people have even used these strategies to negotiate lenders to reduce debt burdens or challenge improper financial practices, but it all starts with education. Right now in My Success University, we're having almost daily calls where we talk about things just like this, and it's mind-blowing things that, again, normally I don't share on YouTube, but now I'm feeling really good with a tight-knit group that we can actually have these conversations. So if you want to take this further and just go beyond the basic financial education, then I highly recommend that you join right now. And here are my final thoughts. You've just taken a very deep dive into the mechanics of the monetary system, and hopefully your eyes are opened a little more now. Infinite money doesn't come from printing machines. It comes from understanding how value is created and transferred through signatures and contracts. Now, if you found this information valuable, please don't forget to subscribe. I've got more content coming that breaks down hidden financial systems and gives you tools to take control of your wealth. However, a lot of these daily conversations are going on in My Success University. Drop a comment below if you want to see like a full video on how to file endorsements or learn how to use negotiable instruments legally and effectively. And as always, everything I share is educational. It's not legal advice, and the information that I provide is completely free. I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video. I'm trying to get better at cutting down my time where I'm speaking. Hopefully this will end up being 10 minutes once I edit this video. There's so many different conversations that we've had in the Discord group as far as diplomatic immunity, using 1099-Cs, talking about bonds, which not bonds for stock, but it's a lot of good stuff, guys, that we're really breaking a lot of ground on. And I really got encouraged yesterday to make this video by seeing just how a lot of the members were absorbing this information, and it just made me very proud, and I'm glad that I was able to share this with you guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching this video, and you have a wonderful day.